for the exact same product. Meanwhile, while we are getting ripped off, 10 top drug companies made over $110 billion in profit last year, and their CEOs make tens and tens of millions of dollars in compensation. The result of the high cost of prescription drugs is obvious. 1 out of 4 Americans cannot afford to purchase the prescriptions that their doctors write, and some of them will die as a result. Others get much sicker than they should, and they end up in emergency rooms or they end up in hospitals at great cost to our already bloated healthcare system. Further, the very high cost of prescription drugs is not just an individual issue, what you pay. It is a taxpayer issue. It impacts all of us. It drives up the cost of Medicaid, Medicare, and other public health programs, as well as private insurance. The truth is that politicians have been talking about the high cost of prescription drugs for years, including me. I've been on this issue for probably 20 years, maybe more. But the other truth is that during that time, not much has happened. A lot of talk, yep, but no real progress. The drug companies continued to go along their merry way and raise prices anytime they wanted, to any level that they wanted, for any reason that they wanted. Just do whatever they wanted. Well, here is some good news. Despite all of the incredible wealth and political power of the pharmaceutical industry, believe it or not, they have over 1,800 well-paid lobbyists right here in D.C. Despite all of that, the Biden administration and Democrats in Congress are beginning to make some progress. What have we accomplished over the last several years? As a result of the Inflation Reduction Act that not one single Republican voted for, seniors with diabetes are paying no more than $35 a month for the insulin that they need. Beginning next year, that's right. And God knows how many lives that alone will save. Beginning next year, and this is a very big deal, seniors will be paying no more than $2,000 a year out of pocket for prescription drugs. You know, and we all know seniors who have chronic illnesses, more than one, are running up huge prescription drug costs that they can't afford. Well, the cap next year will be $2,000. Further, and very importantly, pharmaceutical companies can no longer increase the price of prescription drugs above inflation for seniors without paying a substantial penalty. And, maybe most importantly, for the first time in American history, Medicare is negotiating with the pharmaceutical industry to lower some of the most expensive prescription drugs in America. Now, we must confess this is not a novel idea. In fact, it's done in every other major country on earth, but finally, we're catching up. The Biden administration has also taken executive action to make sure that when American taxpayer dollars help fund the development of certain tests, treatments, and vaccines to deal with public health emergencies, pharmaceutical companies must charge reasonable prices for those products.
I'm killing you with my bare hands.
And that's not all. In December, the Biden administration proposed that if a drug made using taxpayer funds is not reasonably available to Americans because of its exorbitant prices, the government reserves the right to allow a low-cost manufacturer to sell the product for a fraction of the price. The president called this, quote, an important step toward ending big pharma price gouging, end quote, and he is exactly right. I look forward to the Biden administration implementing this provision to substantially reduce prescription drug prices. I am also proud of the accomplishments the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, which I happen to chair, has made to bring down the cost of prescription drugs.
You must want to die,
Less than 3 months ago, the Health Committee launched an investigation into the outrageously high cost of inhalers that 25 million Americans with asthma and 16 million Americans with COPD need in order to breathe. And what we learned from that investigation is that the American people were paying, in many cases, not 10 times more than the people of other countries, not 50 times more, in some cases 70 times more for inhalers than the people were paying in Canada and Europe. After talking to the CEOs of the 4 major inhaler manufacturers, 3 of them have made a commitment to cap the cost of all of their brand name inhalers: Boehringer Ingelheim, AstraZeneca, and GlaxoSmithKline. Teva, the smallest of the 4 companies that manufacture inhalers, has not yet made that commitment, but we hope to hear from them in the very near future. What all of that means is that within a very short time, 2 out of the 3 companies starting on June 1st, the vast majority of Americans will pay no more than $35 at the pharmacy counter for the inhalers they purchase. A Vermont resident recently told my office that she has to pay $320 a month for Boehringer Ingelheim's Spiriva candy. As a result of these decisions, she could save more than $3,000 a year on the inhaler she needs to breathe. Millions of others will see similar benefits. Now, my impression is that these companies, as well as many others in the pharmaceutical industry, are beginning to catch on to the fact that the American people are tired of being ripped off and paying astronomical prices for the prescription drugs they need to stay alive or to ease their pain. And let me also take this moment to thank Lena Khan, the chair of the Federal Trade Commission, for taking on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry. Last November, the FTC challenged how drug companies manipulate and play games with patents to keep low-cost generic drugs off the market, including asthma inhalers. By standing up to the drug companies, the FTC has helped deliver this major victory for the American people. And it's not just inhalers. Last year, the CEO of Moderna committed during a Health Committee hearing that his company would set up a patient assistance program so that no one in America would have to pay for their vaccines out of pocket. In a separate Health Committee hearing last May, the CEO of Eli Lilly committed that his company would not raise prices on existing insulin products after announcing very substantial price cuts for these products. These efforts will improve life for millions of Americans. They will prevent unnecessary deaths, ease suffering, and save substantial sums of money for working-class families.
Let's work up a sweat, little man.
Let us be clear. Despite all that we have accomplished up to now,
I'm killing you with my bare head.
It is not enough. Much more needs to be done.
Get it back.
In his State of the Union address, President Biden called on Congress to pass legislation to cap out-of-pocket prescription drug costs for all Americans at no more than $2,000 a year, and to substantially increase the number of drugs that can be negotiated with the pharmaceutical industry. I strongly agree with him. And think of what that will mean to the people in our country, many of whom have myriad chronic illnesses. No more $2,000 out of pocket. That is a very significant step forward. And as chairman of the Health Committee, I intend to push that legislation very aggressively as a whole. In my view, we can no longer tolerate companies like Novo Nordisk charging the American people $1,000 a month for Ozempic, a drug that costs less than $5 to manufacture.
Let's work up a sweat,
when
little
that
man.
same exact product is sold in Germany for $59. $1,000 in America, $59 in Germany, unacceptable. We can no longer tolerate Astellas and Pfizer charging Americans with prostate cancer over $165,000 for Xtandi, when the exact same product can be purchased for just $20,000 in Japan. Even more disturbing is the reality that over half of the new drugs coming onto the market today cost $300,000, and a number of them actually cost over $1 million. This is an issue that we must get a handle on. Working together,
Looking for
we
problems.
can take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry and substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs in America. And when we do that, we will be lowering the cost of health care in our country, which is double the cost of any other major nation. I want to thank President Biden for what he has done on this issue up to now, and I look forward to working with the President as we go forward. I would now like to introduce to you Chris Garcia from Littleton, Colorado. Even though Mr. Garcia has health insurance through his employer, he and his family cannot afford the outrageous price of his medications. Mr. Garcia has asthma and several bleeding disorders and relies on multiple inhalers and specialty drugs just to stay alive.
Let's work up a sweat,
Even
little
with
man.
insurance, the co-pays for his inhalers and other medications total more than $450 per month. He has been paying $163 per month for just one inhaler Advair, and starting soon, Mr. Garcia will be able to get Advair for $35 a month. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Garcia, and I'm from Littleton, Colorado. I'm 47 years old and work as a ramp agent at the airport, loading and unloading luggage and cargo, and helping guide and park our aircraft. I am also a husband and a father of 4, and if that's not enough to worry about, I was born with 4 bleeding disorders, several allergies, and chronic asthma. These medical conditions leave me in a constant state of uncertainty and can spiral into both a health and financial crisis at any time. The treatments I need just to stay alive cost $800 a month, even after my insurance coverage. I work 4 extra shifts a month to help offset the costs, and even then, that's often not enough. I'm constantly forced to split my medications or decide which medications to forego altogether because I simply can't afford them. Every morning, I hope I have enough meds just to make it through the day without a medical issue. And I know millions of Americans grapple with similar decisions when it's time to refill our inhaler prescriptions at the pharmacy counter. For too long, inhaler manufacturers have prioritized profits over patients. leaving people struggling to afford the very medications that they need to survive. I never imagined things could change, but President Biden has shown us all that they can. The things he's done to cut healthcare costs are literally saving the lives of so many Americans, myself included. I can't describe how grateful I am and what it means for me and my family to know that we have a president who thinks every day about how to improve the quality of life for people like me. To know that we have a president who cares about giving me a chance to spend less time worrying about surviving and more time with my kids as they grow. And now it is my greatest honor to introduce the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Chris, thank you. First of all, thank you for the courage you've shown over the years dealing with your health issues, but also for standing up here before the whole nation and explaining to us what you've gone through. It's not easy to do. You know, trying to afford your expensive medications from blood disorders to asthma. Millions of Americans, millions, have similar stories, lying in bed at night, literally staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name will happen if their spouse gets cancer, or if a child gets sick, or something happens to them. Are they going to have enough insurance? Can they afford the medical bills they're going to have? Will they have to sell the house to keep things moving?
Oh, I'm your...
For the Grove, dude. We gotta put...
Hey, Jenny on the line from Santa Maria. Hi, Jenny. How's your heart?
Broken, like my arm and two of my ribs.
What happened?
I married my childhood sweetheart, but it all went wrong. He's become a drunk, and he has a substance problem, too. And now he beats me every day.
Stay with him, honey. After all, you're only lonely when you're alone.
But he keeps threatening to kill me.
Jenny, do you know the meaning of the phrase homewrecker?
No.
What about selfish bitch? I want to bring people together, not break them apart. Who's on the phones? It's a big, lonely state out there.
Homie, let's roll on some buses.
Ventura, don't want to talk about my heart.
Why do men just repeat back what you say and never listen? Are you brain dead, Brian?
Oh, actually, it's ironic that you say...
I didn't hear you say sorry.
Possibly ruining my career. Would it help if I slept with you?
Probably not, dude, though. She wouldn't even notice. I mean, I get away with it all the time now. Even after I did it with her sister. Actually, our relationship is better than ever. I mean, the passion is amazing. It's like I'm a new person each time. If she was back to the way she was before the accident, wow, I put her in a coma myself. I mean, it's fantastic.
That's very informative. You know, last night, I wondered... Hello?
Yeah, hello, Lonely Hearts. I was just calling up there because I was listening and I figured out, you know, that I can help out some of y'all clients, you know. This is none other than Jizzy, the proprietor of the Pleasure Domes Club. If anybody is out there lonely, first of all, with all the people on this planet walking around, there's no reason for anybody to be lonely. You understand? That's why I'm in the business of keeping people with company. You know what I'm saying? People who got low self-esteem and they need to pick me up. They need to come down to the Pleasure Dome, hang out with me, Jizzy, and my girls. You know what I'm saying? They gonna keep you company, have you feeling good. And this goes for everybody. I don't care who you are, how old you are. So come on down and hang out with me if you're lonely. And I'm gonna tell you something. You won't be lonely from the moment you walk in the door, because somebody's gonna grab your hand and it's gonna be all about to get there from that.
Good grief, that's not the way Lonely Hearts works at all.